morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Deeper Than Music Radio. Behind every great song, there's an even greater story. I like to say what's up to everybody listening to us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Geo7, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all the platforms that are streaming Deeper Than Music. And also now we're on YouTube. So if you're listening to us on any of those platforms, like, subscribe, comment, and let us know your thoughts. Today we have a very special guest, one of the type of artists, man, that I could really appreciate, man. I appreciate those in the vein of Lauryn Hill, in the vein of Fonte, in the vein of Missy. I'm talking about people that can not only sing, they can rap. He's also an instrumentalist. He goes by way of the Midwest and the South, and he's also done shows as far as Jamaica. And another thing is he's a EMT and firefighter. So ladies and gentlemen, we have Nate Hicks here on Deeper Than Music. How you doing, brother?
Hello, all is well. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for having me. No complaints from me. God is good. Life is good.
No worries, man. And like we were talking earlier, you're out there in the Midwest, man, and living in Southern Illinois. I know how you frigid up there right now.
It's a little chilly.
Man, we're MC. Well, you're still an MC, writer. You learned. You're also an instrumentalist, man. Did you know at a young age that music was your passion and what you wanted to pursue?
No, not really. Honestly, I found out along the way. I knew I liked listening to music. I grew up on gospel music. And when I wanted to branch out into other genres, I kind of had to sneak, around my parents. From there, it took probably up until my 8th grade years when I actually discovered I could sing. I liked singing, but I didn't know I could sing until we moved up to Toledo from Atlanta.
Okay.
Some of the homies that I had just made some new friends playing football, and they joined the youth choir at church and invited me to join with them. So I did. And from there, it turned into an actual passion of mine. So I started singing from there. I started picking around on the piano from there. And then, senior year of high school, senior year of college, I picked up the guitar. So It's been a journey. It's been a journey.
Man. And so singing, and then what motivated you to, do you come from a musical family or a singing family?
Yeah, I would say so. My dad used to chase the dream.
Okay.
He still sings, whether it be church or just, singing to my mom or around the house, still sings. My little sister, Alana, was just a contestant on season 27 of The Voice, and she made it quite far.
Wow.
And then I also have 8 other siblings, so most of us can carry a tune at the very, very least.
Wow. And so you said Midwest and then Southern roots. Is that also inspiration or behind your sound? Do you intertwine the two?
I feel like as far as my sound being developed comes mainly from the people that I have listened to along the way. It's like John Legend has been a huge inspiration.
Oh yeah, man, yeah. Legend.
Molly Music, Jonathan McReynolds, I just really like their sound and their authenticity in the music. So I'd say really the sound kind of developed from them, though I don't know them personally, more so than a specific region.
John Legend, man. Who else are your influences?
I've been compared a lot to Kim a little bit, Joe
Kim,
a little bit.
Oh my goodness, man.
Yeah, so these are people that, I didn't necessarily grow up on their music, but when people started saying, they can hear a little bit of them and me, of course I had to branch out and start listening a little bit, and I can see it, and I do desire to have the same type of influence and impact, that they have had with their careers.
No, Kim and Joe, man, they bring it, man. So that's huge compliments. Man, and also I mentioned that you are an EMT and a firefighter. I'm not gonna lie, man. One of my favorite shows is Chicago Fire, dude. Very intrigued. Side question, man, is that realistic or is that just Hollywood?
Some of the stuff is pretty accurate, but a lot of it is not. I can appreciate how they do try to intertwine some accurate information. So like when they're speaking in medical terms and stuff like that, I'm like, I know what that means and it applies to this situation. So yeah, I can appreciate that. But some of it is definitely theatrics, because you got to make for good TV.
I'm like, man, it's not every week. Every episode, something crazy happens. There got to be a time where it's like normal, but like you said, you gotta keep the theatrics in it. So, like Nate, what inspires you, man? What inspires you to create and make music? Because I think that acts of service is part of your DNA.
Yes.
Okay.
So, just a little bit of family history. Again, I have 8 siblings. Parents come from very humble roots. My family was actually homeless, which is why we moved from Atlanta to Toledo.
Wow.
Yeah, so we were, spending time sleeping with family, and friends, family friends. They would allow us to utilize their space for a little bit of time until we had to move on. And eventually, since my mom has roots in Toledo, we came where the family support was. So the acts of service, again, is a part of my DNA. I've always had a heart for people, which is why I ended up going to school for social work. It was while I was in school that I discovered, that I wanted to actually do music full time.
Yeah.
As soon as I realized that I wanted to do that, I wanted to drop out of school, but I finished the degree. And again, it's a part of me. So I would say the first song that I ever wrote was a gospel song. Got to stay in touch with the spiritual side. But then the first thing that I ever released and kind of pushed was more on the R&B side. So there's a balance of the more intrinsic things, spirituality and stuff that influences my music and my sound. And then there's also life experiences like love and happiness and joy that also influence my sound.
Yeah, because I was going to say, man, your EP, Road Trips and Intentions, is a focus on the journey and the why behind your actions. So, like, it's like I said, it speaks to your acts of service, and you want to give service and also then tell people of your journey. What is your creative process? Like, how does that happen? Like, is it the melody in your head first, or you're writing? Like, can you explain us your creative process and how it becomes a song, if you will?
Absolutely. It looks a lot different today than it did when I first started. When I first started, I first heard a beat on YouTube, an instrumental. And from there, kind of listened to it, let it speak to me, so to speak, and then got like a subject matter and just took that subject matter and ran with it, put it all together, and it came into to be a song. Um, then, as the years went on, I just wanted to write and get some of my thoughts out on paper. So I would write and just basically empty myself onto paper. And then maybe even years later, I would hear an instrumental or something and then take the words that I wrote from years ago just from journaling and I would put it into the format of a song. And then now I can also, now that I'm better at instruments, piano and guitar, I can formulate anything from thin air, so to speak. So
Okay.
it doesn't take one specific process or one specific journey from start to completion of a song. It can come in different shapes and forms.
Okay. And then another question I wanted to ask is, coming from, there's like old movies like The Five Heartbeats or The Temptations. There was always in that group, there was always somebody that had a church foundation, right?
Right.
And then sometimes they would be challenged, right, spiritually. Or then some people, like I guess Toni Braxton, she came from a very church background. And when you're doing R&B, and sometimes with R&B, sometimes in the traditional church background or conservative church background, it's frowned upon. Have you experienced any of that? And then how do you balance, the music with spirituality?
I have, I wouldn't call it a weird relationship, but I guess growing up and realizing that R&B music actually came more naturally to me as far as writing.
Yes.
And I felt like singing as well. The people that I was surrounded with, they didn't necessarily understand it at the time, but I wasn't even in that environment for much longer after that journey started for me.
Mm-hmm.
My current pastors, it's a husband and wife. Shout out to Pastors Damon and Markisa at Corinth Baptist Church. They support me. It doesn't matter. They say as long as I can look myself in the mirror and go to sleep at night and God is not convicting me to do something different, then they'll support me. So I feel very at ease and at peace with where God has me right now.
Yeah.
If there's anybody that has issues with what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, nobody said anything to me personally. So I just take it as it's none of my business.
Yeah. And I feel like too, like it's your journey. Your relationship with God is between you and God has given you that gift, right? And you understand the assignment and you know what it is. So when you decided that, hey, this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to do music, what were your like initial challenges? Like, were there anything that was unique that you had to overcome to make that breakthrough?
Yeah, so the very first song that I wrote and recorded was in a bedroom studio. It was in the closet of somebody's upstairs bedroom. It was, I feel like that's a lot of people's story, and it is definitely 100% a part of mine. I thought that was how all studio sessions were supposed to be. The end product sounded okay. Like I go back and listen to it now and I cringe a little bit, but I was very proud of it back then. And from there, I kept trying to get in contact to record more. And he was just on a totally different type of schedule. So,
Yeah.
you know, it was a challenge to find people to record me from that point on. I ran into more instrumentalists, people that could produce stuff from scratch that I felt could help me get my vision out. And I realized that not everybody had the same drive, the same vision for music as I did. So it was just a struggle to get people on the same page as me. Eventually, I had to stop being cheap. I asked for a recommendation, and the recommendation came from my actual high school English teacher. He told me about a friend of his who owns a studio. That was years ago that he gave me the recommendation, and I still record there today. Very professional, Firefly Studios in Toledo, Ohio.
Okay.
Multi-million-dollar studio. It doesn't look like much from the outside, but you walk inside, you see all the equipment and the knowledge of the owner and engineers that are housed there. Amazing. So I've reached that breakthrough as far as knowing where to go to record.
Yeah.
Certain processes. Now the most prominent obstacle I would say would be finances.
Okay.
Just to have the money to get in the studio as often as I want to get out, as much as I want to get out.
Yeah. And it's like it's your dream. You got to invest your dream. And you bring up a good point, because I know a lot of talented people, but very few have the drive and the tenacity. And then sometimes your vision may not be necessarily the other person's vision. And then I tell people too, you may see somebody with a house, or you may see somebody you see the fruits of their labor, but you don't know what they've been through to get there, man. So no, the drive, the tenacity is there. And then another thing that I like that you do is, like, you have to be multifaceted. Like with me, I'm also a musical artist, podcaster, and I work in the aviation field, air traffic control.
Nice.
And it's like, well, I can't be multifaceted. And I like the fact that, hey, you work and this is your other job, music. You can do more than one, more than one thing. I love airplanes. I love talking to people. Like, this is like talking to airplanes, and I like doing music. So I'm going to do, I'm going to do it all.
You would love my brother-in-law.
Oh, okay. Okay. He's in aviation as well?
Aviation, Air Force. He's a technician. And then also a bass player and musician.
Yeah. Why not do it all?
Yeah.
Man, if you had any dream collaborators, who would you collaborate with?
J. Cole is number one.
Oh, man. Hey, I'm right here. I'm right here in Sanford, north of Fayetteville. So, hey, J. Cole he is huge out here. Yeah.
Yeah, that is awesome. I love everything that he stands for. Obviously, I don't know him personally, but you can kind of just tell, based off of a person's energy. And of course, you can be let down, once you meet somebody in person. I just feel like that would not be the case with him. I don't hold him on a pedestal. He's not God to me, but I really admire his work, and I would love to collaborate with him. Plenty of other people, other artists. I'm open as long as the message behind the song is something meaningful, or even if it's just a vibe, as long as it's not like over the top raunchy or anything like that, that would deter the majority of my audience. I'd be okay with collaborating with numerous people.
Nice. And man, that's awesome. And then you mentioned Kim, you mentioned like Joe, and I feel like that era of music. How do you feel about that era of music, and then like R&B today? Like, how has it evolved and changed?
I feel like because of how heavily trap and hip hop was pushed and marketed, that people have a disposition towards that. So R&B kind of had to take a lot of elements from those genres. Which I guess I would say that's how R&B has evolved over time. It's taken on a more bass heavy type of feel.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that for some instances, but also it has its place. The Kim era, the Joe era, it has its place. And I feel like there are plenty of artists out there, new and up and coming, that are probably not as appreciated as they could and should be, because, the masses want more bass heavy stuff.
Yeah, and they don't realize that some of them was created off of that music. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I'm from that era, man. I just feel like, man. I mean, even now, a Don B, a Kim, a Joe, man, even a Case.
Yeah,
man, I miss that era. And then also, you also have I feel like, I know that you do a lot of shows, and I mean, even with your guitar, I feel like even from your albums, I feel like that energy is very intimate. Do you get a lot of joy out of performing live? What does it do for you as an artist?
Yeah, I do get joy from it. It's not about the money. The money is, a wonderful side effect of what I do, but
Yeah,
whenever I just get to share, and that's even a struggle that I'm trying to find balance between what I should do for free or for very cheap, and then where I should stand on business
yeah, yeah,
as it relates to that. But the one thing that I can always fall back on is if I can make eye contact with one person and know that I made their day better or their evening better, I did my
yeah.
job. And I have, a sense of fulfillment in that. So I love the energy from other people. I love receiving it. I love giving it if it seems like they don't have it. And by the end of the session, they're in a better mood and they're vibing, they're having a good time. They seem more in love, more present in the moment. I'm happy I did my job. So, yeah.
And then that's the challenge too with being an artist, man, of the music, being an artist and then the music business. It's also music, it's also business. Like I was just, before we even had this interview, I was listening to an interview with, I think it's As Yet. Man, these guys were signed to Babyface's record. And they're like, we just wanted to record. We just wanted to do music. But I didn't realize under Babyface, they had an exclusive deal where he was only the producer. And if they worked with any other outside forces, they couldn't. And they were like, look, this is what we wanted to do was music. We figured once we get the deal later on, we can negotiate. But they used to start off as a group that could collaborate. That's how they got the deal. They did their own music to then restricted to Babyface and how it kind of like ruined the band. And it's like, ultimately you're an artist. You want to do your art. And then it's hard for us, like, to put a dollar amount. Like we want to spread our music and joy. We love performing. We love expressing. And it's hard to draw that line. Like, all right, when do I charge? When do I do this and that? And you also had you performed in Jamaica, man. Like, how was that? How was the vibe in Jamaica different than the vibe in the US?
Well, it's an energy thing. And that was like total happenstance. My best friend from college is from Jamaica. And so I just went down there with her. I met her family. I spent half the trip with her family off the resort. The second half of the trip, I went on resort. There was a band playing and I mingled with them. I met them one night and then a couple nights later, they were playing again. I walked up to the headlining artist who currently lives in the UK now. And I just spoke with her and she gave me a platform. It was just awesome to flow from a song that everybody knew. The band didn't even really know the song, but I knew the audience would know the song. It was a John Legend song. And then I went from that song into a piece of an original and it was just awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what is your favorite? What do you like about being a musical artist and what do you don't like about the whole business of music? Like, what do you like and what aspects do you like?
Administrative stuff, paperwork. If I could hire somebody to do that for me, and if I could trust them to take care of business on that end all day, every day, I would totally outsource that. Everything else, for the most part, I'm okay with. I love singing. I love learning instruments. If I could focus my time on that alone and getting better at those things, I would totally do that.
Okay.
Production and everything music, I truly love. But it's the business side of things. The administration is kind of the issue.
Yeah. And then I was going to say too, also with, your love of service and being a firefighter, how do you find balance? How do you make it all work?
My schedule with the fire department is so good. I might have to miss out on some gigs or something, but in the grand scheme of things, music, I can probably do a whole music career with the current schedule that I have. We work 24 hours. We're off for 48 hours.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then every 3 weeks, we get an additional shift off, which is 5 days in a row. And we get a decent amount of vacation time. So it just works out. And if I need to trade with somebody, hopefully somebody's available for me, it works out. And then the job in and of itself, it can be taxing at times. It can be emotionally draining, physically draining, mentally draining, all of that. But helping people is the motivation. I've always wanted to help people. I went to school for social work, like I said. I tried a couple of social work jobs. I tried teaching. None of those were for me. I tried driving the bus for the city. I mean, I love driving. Figure, driving, which I love, and then people, which I love, would be great. But the administration there kind of turned me all the way off from that. And then the fire department kind of just fell in my lap. And I think that was orchestrated by God, and he knew what I needed. And I'm going to cherish that and be grateful every moment. I have no
Yeah.
complaints.
And I tell people, and even in the words of great Steve Harvey, man, your calling will always be in your ear.
Mm,
And you'll always know when it's like, this isn't it. Like, I love the story of Sting. Like, he was an English teacher. He had a cush English job, but he's like, I want to be an artist. I want to reach people. I
mm.
mean, you have to align with, everything that you want to do. And man, you're doing it. And like, you reach people via your job and reach people via your music. So in this career, because I'm pretty sure you're going to have a lot more highlights. So far in your music career, what has been like a moment where you were just like, this is so surreal?
There's been so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to say my recent trips to New York. We did July and November of this year. It was for showcases to be in front of record label executives and
Okay.
A&Rs, radio personalities, and other artists. I would say those moments kind of put things into perspective for me because it was like a specially curated audience
Yeah.
of people who were there looking. We were there looking for opportunities and they were there looking to give opportunities. And, regardless of the opportunities, I felt like they were tuned in and paying attention. And the response that I've received from that has encouraged me to go so much harder and it put things way
Yeah.
more into perspective for me than a lot of my other shows have. So,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And then there's also a Christmas tour. I just finished up the second show in Detroit with Mike Williams on sax. He's a saxophone player here in Toledo.
Wow, man.
Yeah, we've been locked in. We've been doing it for 4 years. We found out at last year's show that my grandfather and his, family members grew up together.
Oh,
So
wow. Man,
yeah,
small
small
world.
world. Yeah. So
So for the listeners listening, they're getting a backstory. And for the listeners that haven't heard of you, or
yeah.
haven't heard your music, like I said, road trips and intentions. Like, how would you describe your sound? Who is Nate Hicks?
My sound has evolved so much over the years. If you listen to my older stuff, I can appreciate people who appreciate it, but I'm like,
Yeah.
there's so much more and it gets so much better.
Mm-hmm.
I just haven't been able to put out the quantity that I would like as it relates to my newer sound, which takes on, I guess, more of an acoustic vibe, more
Okay.
natural instrumentation as opposed to, I don't want to say fabricated, but that's the only word that's coming to mind right now. I feel like my sound is soothing. I don't feel like it's over the top. I don't feel like it's too in your face. It
Yeah.
might have
Yeah.
a little bit of an edge to it, but I feel like I'm soft spoken in general, and that kind of comes across in the music. But it can kind of shapeshift a little bit too. So you might think I'm coming on some smooth R&B stuff, and you get somebody that's rapping a little bit and a little bit more edgy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Like, cause you said Kim, man. Kim is that dude is
smooth.
very smooth, man.
Yeah,
Silky
yeah.
smooth, man. So, and Nate, man, thank you for your time and sharing your story. So my last two questions, first of two, is where can people find you? What does 2026 look like? It's shameless promotion time.
Perfect. I've been waiting for this moment all my life. My name is Nate Hicks. You can find me everywhere. Just type in Nate Hicks Music, NATEHICKS Music. You'll find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or maybe Snapchat. I'm probably missing one, but you can find me. NateHicksMusic.com is my website. If you want to book me, you can go there. If you want to know where I'm going to be performing, you can go there. If you want to know a little bit more about my backstory, you can go there. If you want to make a donation, you can go there.
There
All
you
on
go,
my
man.
website. If you want to just have a conversation with me, I make room for a little bit of everything on my website. So I'm trying to push that more, especially because I pay for it. So I wanted to, I want to continue to be able to pay for the website, pay for, creating more music and things like that. So that's how you can support me. Plan to do a little bit more traveling in 2026. So if you're in a city that has never seen Nate Hicks before, give me a call and I'll come through.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm around. I'm open. I feel like I'll go anywhere so long as God doesn't tell me not to go.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Okay. So hey, y'all got his socials and old school. He's on the worldwide internets. Look above. So then my last question: what does music mean to Nate Hicks?
Music From where I'm sitting right now, the first word that came to mind is connection. Music has allowed me to connect with so many different people. So a shout out to my manager, Mr. Stephen Bird. He's been very, very instrumental in where I am today. And I've known him for less than a year, and it feels like a lifetime.
Okay.
So
okay.
Being connected with him, and then everybody that he's connected me with, he's connected me with people who have connected me with other people. So it's a never-ending cycle. I feel like I have lifelong friends now because of music and the connections that I've made because of music. There's that aspect of it, and then there's the aspect of music in and of itself can connect me to somebody just because they feel the same way that I felt when I decided to write a song.
Yeah. Man, good deal. So ladies and gentlemen, another great episode with a multi-instrumentalist, rapper, singer in the vein of Joe and Kim. Go ahead and check them out, support. Again, man, thank you for your time and your sharing your story, your inspiration. And ladies and gentlemen, like, subscribe, and also follow. And again, this is Markivus Nious and Nate Hicks signing off on another great episode of Deeper Than Music with Markivus. Thank you.